ready. Thanks for being here. Let's begin with our breath because life is cool. So I want to give us two different landmarks. There's that little uvula in the back of our mouth. To get a feel of where that is, you can scroll the tip of your tongue across your palate toward the back. Right to that place where you can lift the palate and you usually get that sound. Okay, so right about there, where the pharynx becomes the mouth. And the anal sphincter. You can go for tailbone if that's okay. You can just use a little contraction and a release to locate that. So we're going to align those two areas, the pharyngeal, the oral pharyngeal, the uvula, the soft palate over the tip of the tailbone or the anal sphincter. So we're just using our primordial digestive structure as a way of aligning. We'll work some rounds of Virasana. And I may feel like describing some things about the perineum as we go along, but let's just do a round together. So inhaling. And we'll pause, holding the breath. Bring hands forward. Swift, thorough exhale. Stay empty. Let's So now where we let the neck relax, we'll go over a cue for this. Draw the belly in and back and up. So if you're drawing and moving the anal sphincter, perineum, and the front portion of pelvic floor, genitals, feel if there's activating, because we can do it both ways. When we release, let's go over a couple of details. So you can contract, you can make anal sphincter contract. And generally you can do that, the glutes will engage. So you feel your butt cheeks squeeze, release. Okay. If you go more interior, there's an engagement that does not activate the glutes. Find that one. There's tone, like there's viscera tone. Without the gluteal activation, the butt getting like, okay. So let's try another round. Uddiyana. So if you can find that more interior activation of the pelvic floor, inhale, the buttock is relaxed. But there's a floor to our container, right? Hold the breath. And if you need to experiment, you can play with letting go, but also finding that tone. Bring the hands forward. Exhale everything out. Stay empty. And now you can monitor just how much activation you're getting from the genitals, the perineum, the anus. Drawing the belly in, up, and then flaring the ribs. Maybe you learn you can hold the breath a lot longer. Release when you want to breathe. So some of the value in finding this distinction, the more outer contraction engagement of the pelvic floor and the more subtle interior viscera, is one doesn't pull on the outer structures as much. So back people, sacral people, feel for that difference between that outer and that more inner sphincter. We're going to do one more round. Let me turn sideways so we can. And now for my neck people, we go back to this pharynx, kind of the soft palatal space. Feel for opening up the gut tube all the way to the top of that pharynx, that oral pharyngeal. That's the word I'm looking for. right, where one becomes the other. And you can open up that space without stretching the neck, without pressing into the neck vertebrae. So you'll try that out. It's very different on the neck and on the discs. And so when we do this third one, this last one, inhale. Instead of collapsing, dropping the head, bending the neck, let's keep the very top of that gut tube suspended, open. So letting that space open up. It's in front of your spine. And when you bring the hands forward, exhaling everything out, you can create that chin tip, that slight closure there. Again, without stretching, stressing, bending the neck, but attuning more to where that uvula is. And release. All right. We'll lie back. Been getting so much interesting just discovery and benefit from playing with the kind of the gut tube ends. So I hope it's interesting to you. If not, it's weird, and that's fine also. We'll lie back. You know, I was saying to someone recently, I've certainly feel like I've been offered a lot of digestive types of meditations, but seldom do they extend all the way up to the pharynx and the mouth, and seldom do they extend all the way down to the anal sphincter. So it's just kind of extending that digestive meditation. All right, so I've got the feet off the ground, the knees over the hips. If you find it better or less activating on the pelvic floor, or you have more control or awareness for the floor by keeping your feet down, I recommend do. There's just very different degrees of, even just 1 foot off, that the pelvic floor, anal sphincter, perineum, genitals, there's such a different level of activation. All right. So inhale into the low belly, the low back. We'll float the head and the shoulder blades up. And then exhaling, we straighten the leg out. We're keeping that abdominal involvement pretty high. And the lower the leg goes, the higher the abdominal involvement. A lot of things getting pulled and knitted downward and together. Draw the low belly down. Inhale, bend that left knee. If you're wondering where the challenge to these abdominals went, exhale, reach the right leg out. You can start to lower that right leg. So instead of it being vertical, you can put it 3 feet off the ground. And then exhaling just strongly knits and draws the ribs down, the abdomen down together. In. Inhale, bend the right knee up. Yep. And exhaling, and stretch that left leg out. And then drawing, knitting the belly in. Inhale, bend the left knee. The counterpoint, or the alternate, is if you're exhaling, let's say we're reaching the right leg out, if we reach it straight up, there's a lot more softness in the organ that we can play with and feel. You can really draw and sink that belly down. Inhale, bend the right knee. Whereas, exhaling the left leg out, we're keeping that abdominal engagement. I'm stretching that leg out a bit lower, 2.5 feet off the ground, 3 feet off the ground. And kind of flirt with how low you can bring it. It's extremely activating for the low belly. And then drawing it down just further gathers the abdomen. Inhale, bend the left knee. Exhaling, stretch that right leg out. 2.5, 3 feet from the ground. Drawing the low belly down. All right, inhale, bend the right knee. Let's do 2 more on each side. That'll give me a chance. Let's see how you're playing with these. Each of these altitudes have benefit. If it's been a while since you've engaged all of that abdominal, the top layer of abdomen, the deeper layer of abdomen, it might be nice to revisit that lower leg position. If you're more interested in kind of pushing and mushing and massaging and rooting around in the abdomen, you can keep the leg more vertical. There you go. When you are through, relax the feet on the ground. Place your hands on the front ribs, the lower ribs. And as you're exhaling, feel how these ribs can be drawn down. Down meaning in the direction of the navel. So away from head. We'll do one more time. So as you're exhaling, and there's an active way to exhale where we're softly, actively, the ribs are being pulled down. And I would venture a guess that many of us don't explore the further reaches of exhale where the ribs do get drawn down. Okay, we can do one more area. We'll go hands below the ribs, like on the waist. The fingertips can point toward the navel. And this time as you're exhaling, feel the ribs being drawn down. And feel your fingertips being drawn more closely together. So if you've one more time. So your fingertips are pointing inward toward the navel. Soft yet active exhale, the rib muscles, pulling ribs down. And then this more TVA, this deeper abdominal stuff. It's like the sides of the waist are condensing toward the navel area. So when we get this kind of downward flowingness of the abdomen, a lot can happen in the mid-back and the low back. Worth exploring. We're going to just keep moving along today. Straddle. We'll bring the legs up and apart. Inhaling, we'll lift the head and the shoulder blades up, which actually helps us to unflare those front ribs. So now as we exhale, we can focus and feel the ribs being drawn down. And the sides of my waist, abdomen, knitting inwardly. So I'm stretching the legs outwardly. And then as I sink the belly in and down, there may be a further knitting, a deeper activation, and then inhale as a release move. And let the head relax into the hands, but it's still up off the ground. And then exhaling. Letting the head lift, help guide, help me actually feel the ribs getting drawn down. Anti-flared ribs. The sides of that abdomen, the TVA, knitting in, stretching the legs out. Sink, further draw, activate that low belly. We'll do some more. My pace might be slow or fast for you, so about 3 more. So I'm saying the ribs can get drawn down with a soft, active touch. I'm saying that as a counter to chest hardening, rib hardening. They're condensing, but they're moving. Hardening tends to stultify movement. And this one I can just only describe verbally. I'm a lot better seeing it when I can see your body more up close. And then when you're through, you've set the head down, helped legs together. We're setting a bridge and we'll be reaching one leg up. So if you need a block nearby, grab it. Here we go. So if you haven't already come into bridge, I was just noticing, it's because I chose to really activate the abdominal and that TVA stuff. If I hover my feet over the ground, right where I'm going to put them for bridge, but I just hover them, there's an extraordinary amount of abdominal engagement you can enjoy. Still enjoy as you plant the feet down. Which might help you move into bridge in a back protected way. Now, admittedly, that is a high tension strategy of coming into bridge. So you might want to be a little softer on the organs, but you can definitely set some things up. Okay, so if you have your block under you, that's fine. If you're doing it without a block, here we go. Walk the feet in about a ½ inch each toward each other. And then inhale, we'll pick the left foot up to begin, knee toward chest. And then exhale, raise that left leg. We'll set the left foot down. Even though the glutes are working a lot in this bridge, it's not because I'm squeezing the anal sphincter, right? So I just want you to be able to differentiate that. Really important when we're working with very particular kinds of hip and back pain. Separating out the glute, the anal sphincter, the outer, the inner, I think is it's key in a lot of back and hip stuff. All right, we've got the right leg up. If I didn't say that, the right leg is up. Now we'll set that right leg down. All right. And we'll lower down out of bridge. Let's move to our elbows and knees. What am I doing here? We're setting up, we'll do 2 versions of dolphin. So number 1, we'll get our forearms set down on the ground, elbows shoulder width, and our knees are under our hips. Moving at your pace, we'll exhale the knees off the ground. And then these 2, 3 more breaths in this dolphin. Can you feel the moving of the ribs, the exhalation drawing the ribs down? Down is relative to your body, so it would be away from collar and toward navel. By my observation, this is a place where the ribs can remain pretty flared. And as you're able to find the way to exhale, expire, draw the ribs down, the abdomen down, the in and down, right? Just what we were doing with all that ground-lying abdominal stuff. It'll start to open up the back. All right. So let's set our knees down for now. That was our warm-up round. I'm going to set up for flash. Not all of your shoulders like that staggered arm position, which is fine, because we're doing flash with a leg up. So if we're not staggering the arms today, say left forearm down, right palm down, just keep your arms set up the same, and you can join us on the leg raising. All right, so flash prep, left arm down, right palm down, all the chest muscles you have engaged. And exhaling, we'll press up. Okay. And if you're playing with the leg today, we'll raise the left foot for now. And we'll set the left foot down. I'm going to change sides so we can set the knees down. Right, if you're working the flash prep, it's right forearm down, left palm down. We'll re-enter. If you're playing with the leg up, it's right leg up. We'll set the right foot down, the knees down. Inhaling, hands under shoulders. We're moving directly into downward dog. Exhaling. Here we are. All right, moving into arrow lunge. Inhale the right foot forward. So we're going to set this up nice and patiently. Left knee is down, top of left foot is down. Got the hands down. And exhaling, I'm going to press down top of left foot. And finding that inner ankle, like kind of drawing that inner ankle in. Start to create some connection to that groin. The knee may press up or may not. And you might want to just try, if you're using hands on ground, turn the fingers backward toward the back of your mat. Once you just get a new shape in your shoulder and you get a little palm and hand opening. All right, gently set knees down, left knee down. Inhale, we'll back the hips, the shoulders up. You're going to take the left palm facing away from navel and lightly draw the digits back. So a little palm wrist stretch. Okay, now as I'm exhaling, reaching out through the palm, away from the lung. Relaxing the shoulder down. And then we'll release that, twisting lunge, hooking the left elbow over the right thigh. Okay. Optional. You can curl those back toes under and work your twisting lunge knee up. Lunge, because I'm keeping my heel up. And release, pyramid, straightening legs, adjusting your foot distance. I'm going to work this pyramid a little bit differently than usual. You don't have to do it this way. Instead of sinking that back heel toward the ground, I'm going to stay on the forefoot. I'm going to stay heel up as I fold. Maybe this will keep the backside from overstretching. Some of you may have that concern around the sacral ligaments. So maybe just kind of pushing that back heel up benefits that. All right, inhale, step the left foot forward. Arrive at standing. So you may need to just bend the knees and stand gradually, carefully. We'll be working standing splits. So grabbing right foot with both hands. Here would be a great place to find and create that distinction in the sphincter, the more outer and the inner. I suspect, I'm just guessing here, that that more inner tone may not be there if we're hopping around. There might be a balance connection. Yes. Right, let that right knee bend, standing pigeon. Still working with that right foot. Just re-grab that right foot. Release. Inhale, letting that right foot down, stepping it back, exhaling chaturanga. Left foot step back. I'm going to lower belly to earth. Cobra. Inhale. Exhale, lower, downward dog. All right, we've got an arrow lunge, other side. Here we go. Inhale, left foot forward. We set the knee down and the top of the foot down. Just for a little difference in the wrist, I'm turning the fingertips pointing back. Exhaling, pressing down, down through top of foot. Finding inner ankle so that my knee has plenty of structure, support, pressing the knee up. Yeah, here too. So if you're working this arrow lunge with a lot of gluteal engagement, can you distinguish the gluteal engagement from the sphincter? So just ensuring you're not just doing a global pelvic clenching or cinching. We can articulate out what we're activating. It's That'll allow you to feel your breath in your low back, to feel your breath in your pelvis. All right, we'll set that right knee down. Inhale, we'll back the hips up. My right palm faces away from navel. Left hand fingers, or left hand, draws fingers back. Just letting the palm extend from the lung. And releasing. Twisting warrior. Pardon me, let me say that again. Twisting lunge. Exhaling the right elbow over the thigh. Alternate. Just pressing the knee off the ground. All right, unwinding pyramid. Here's the difference though. I'm going to shorten my stance and leave my right heel off the ground. This puts a lot more weight in the front foot. And inhaling, step that right foot forward. And here we go, standing. Take your time if you need to bend your knees and kind of coil up. Standing splits, standing pigeon. We grab that left foot first for splits. And standing pigeon, letting left knee bend. And releasing, inhale. We'll step that left foot back. Exhaling, hands to floor, right foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, coming up, cobra or upward dog. And exhaling, downward dog. All right, let's set the knees down. Here's what I would love to do. So we're going to go half Virasana, lying back, leg drawn toward chest. So some things you may want. Maybe a strap nearby to hold the leg. Maybe you're just working the half Virasana part where you want something under the hips, or you might be walking the hands, the forearms back. So all this is wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay. If you are lying the back down, we can grab a hold of the right foot. I use a strap for it. You might just grab the foot. And this is a pose where I have both my hips down. All right, so half Virasana, grabbing the other straight leg. So you can just take your time deciding what part of Virasana you're working, or if you're not bending your knees or have challenge with Virasana, remember you could do this as a version of splits. You can do this as lunge on the wall splits. You can do this as a vertical splits on the wall. Oh, and just as a little, it's, I guess, a more psychological note here. Nervous system, psychological. You're lying down, we're accessing the pelvis. Just note the shape of your ribs. It's possible we've kind of left them in that shape of inspiration, like we're arcing our ribs away from our pelvis. So this would be a nice place also to play with the exhalation that fully moves the ribs downward. And we'll switch sides. So we'll get that half Virasana on the other side. If you're lying back, you're able to grab the foot. Right. If you haven't already released, it's probably a good time. Let's remain lying for Shavasana. When you're ready, we'll bend knees. We'll turn to a side and press up. Namaste. Thanks for joining.
Gwen. Thanks, Gwen. Great day, everyone.